Welcome back to Yahoo Finance Live. Some interesting updates being delivered by Tesla CEO Elon Musk. Where else but on Twitter when it comes to one of their higher-end versions, the Tesla Model S Plaid Plus, getting canceled here, no longer needed, as he said. The rest of the versions good enough. And for more on that, I want to bring on Yahoo Finance's Pras Subramanian with the details around that. And Pras, I guess this might have been a somewhat expected move, but how impactful is it when it comes to not needing some of these variants of their models?
Well, to be honest, I was actually a little surprised that they canceled the Plaid Plus, and especially via a tweet, which is kind of surprising. But just real quick, the Plaid Plus is that really high performance Model S, right? We're talking about 1,000+ horsepower, tri-motor, and then key here, that 500+ miles of range. So Elon said no one needs 500 miles of range. The regular Plaid is good enough. But I got to ask, why is this happening? Why are they canceling it now? And I have a couple of reasons. I think number one, cost, right? The number of battery cells needed to, have that kind of power range might have been more than Tesla could secure or make or pay for. And also component shortages, right? Elon said as much last week. They're having problems getting parts, especially microprocessors for those cars. And lastly, I think, Zach, maybe Tesla couldn't match those specs that they had touted, namely that 500 miles of range. It's a big number. So just something to consider here is that, as this EV space develops, Lucid, their rivals, coming out with a car that can do 500 miles per range. So that's something to keep in mind, too.
Pras, but this is a cancellation. There's been delays in the new versions of the Model S, the Model X as well. I mean, what does that suggest in terms of what's happening internally for Tesla, and potentially that maybe its positioning in terms of being able to source all the materials in the face of the supply shortage is more significant than they've let on?
I think that's exactly right, Akiko. When Elon hinted that last week in the tweet, I think he's leading out more than he actually is saying, right? Because, when most manufacturers cancel a trim level, they would never do it like this. It would always be, the car comes out and then a few years later, we didn't have the demand. It's just kind of like not seeing much traction with consumers. You would never pre-cancel a trim level. I mean, I'm kind of pressed to find an example of that. So, but with Tesla, everything is sort of like, anything can happen with these guys. So it's kind of hard to say, what's happening, but I think you might be right about the fact that they just couldn't secure the amount of parts and the types of high performance materials you need for a car that at this level, we're talking about that would have been the fastest EV that's outside of, $2 million. So I think that might be what's going on here, is they just can't get the parts in a cost effective manner.
Yeah, I mean, so what does that mean if he comes out and says that it's canceled because the original Plaid is just so good? I mean, sounds like you don't necessarily believe that that's the total reason here, and it's Elon Musk tweeting again, so I don't know how much weight we should put on him, but that's what he's saying.
It's hard to say, right, Zach, because I've seen people on Twitter talk about, hey, they canceled my Plaid Plus order. Well, how many people are actually ordering a $150,000 plus high-performance electric sedan? So it could be a combination, Zach, of just maybe the demand, it really isn't there, but I seem to think that it's just not, it's a parts availability, it's a demand, can they produce these units in a cost-effective and timely manner?
Yeah, and at the very least, though, not an option on the table anymore. And there already are a lot of options out there for Tesla users if they want to figure out what kind of car they got. And so one less on the table now. Pras Subramanian, appreciate you bringing us the update there.